Good morning, gifted crafters. It's crafting time.
Today is going to be that day. Gonna have things go my way. Embroidering fashion that sells. Using all my knowledge, I will excel. Stitch by stitch, let color shine bright. Turning a blank canvas into art feels right. Time is flying by and this is my art. With embroidery machines, I'm doing my part. I search the web for a magical design, looking high and low as I sip on my wine. Metallic thread, watch it shimmer and shine. I transform my blanks into a one-of-a-kind. Stitch by stitch, let color shine bright. Turning a blank canvas into art feels right. Time is flying by and this is my art. With embroidery machines, I'm doing my part. Hook it up if you want to embroider. Got the right tension, got my colors in order. Please no thread breaks, no time for rest. So much to do, I'll give it my best. Stitch by stitch, let color shine bright. Turning a blank canvas into art feels right. Time is flying by and this is my art. With embroidery machines, I'm doing my part. Be smart, get a great digitizer. Use wash, cutter, tear stabilizers. Create art from threads like a designer. Great looking items, nothing can be finer. Stitch by stitch, let color shine bright. Turning a blank canvas into art feels right. Time is flying by and this is my...
Live from the Sunshine State in Miami, Florida, here is the Gifted Crafters Morning Show with Nancy.
Good time. Ooh, time to get our craft on. Ooh, time to have fun. Ooh, time to feel good.
Good morning, Gifted Crafters, and welcome back to the Gifted Crafters Morning Show. Good morning out there. I know we have people tuning in from all over the place, so let's see who we have with us today. We've got Baker McBake from Louisiana. We've got Dover, Pennsylvania. Hey, Jackie. We've got Roslyn from New Mexico. We've got Marilyn, Robin's Quilt Basket. We've got River Rose from Tennessee. Hey, Roz from Australia, thanks for joining. We've got JBL from Alabama. And of course, we have our friends from Canada. Good morning. We are just all over the place. It's just wonderful. It's such a great place to bring all of the crafters together in one amazing hour. I just really love that everyone comes together with this. It makes me so happy to see all of you guys today. Good morning. Good morning. So we've got a jam-packed hour today, and I really appreciate all of you guys taking the time to be with me in my little sewing journey. So good morning from Cameron, North Carolina, and from Ohio. Hey, Barbara and Sandy, thanks for joining. Thank you guys all. I really, really appreciate it. So of course, it is Tuesday, and we just rolled off of a holiday. And let's just go ahead and grab our mugs. So this is something, if you're tuning in for the first time, my name is Nancy with GiftsHQ, and we always like to start off our little session with a little toast. So it's early in the morning, at least for me over here. So go ahead and grab your cup of whatever it is that you have in the morning, coffee, tea, soda, water, it doesn't matter. There's no judgment here. Go ahead and raise that glass. And if not, you don't have one, I'll pour one for you. Let's go ahead and raise the glass and give a little toast for our day today, because it's going to be fantastic. And I'm going to go ahead and take a little swivel myself. Yes, cheers, Robin. Oh, that feels great. And I think we are ready to go. Now, I hope that you're in your nice little cozy spot or a little safe place where you can watch all the content today. Today we've got quite a number of things. I'm going to show you some progress that I've made on some projects, and we're starting something new. Now, I've got two new things that we're kind of going to do simultaneously. So we've got an embroidery project for all your embroidery lovers out there. We've got that going on, and then we have a little Christmas piecing project as well. So we're kind of doing two things at the same time. So we've got our coffee, we've got our cozy spot. Now let's head over and just get our little snacks, shall we? So I know we're just rolling off of a long weekend and everyone's kind of getting ready to go back to school. And it was kind of like the last day for everyone to go to the beach, right? So why not go to the shack, to the Shack Snack to go get our snacks? So let's go on over there. Yes, it's our beachy moment, you know. Although here in Florida, we kind of have the beach all year round because it never gets that cold. So we get to enjoy it, but I know you guys up north don't. So let's have our little time out there, and please don't feed the dolphins out there. But you've got all your little snacks for you. Everything is there that you need. All the donuts and all this little muffins and snacks. We've even got bagels and cream cheese and things like that. Yay. Yes. Nice and hot coffee. Yeah, we've got that too. So I hope you enjoy that as well. Alrighty. Good morning. Good morning, Crafty Puerto Rican, Joyce Adams, and Barb. Good morning. Okay. So let's get going, because we've got all our snacks and our drinks and everything in place. So it is National Sewing Month. So if you didn't know, the month of September is National Sewing Month, and we're going to have a lot of fun with all kinds of little projects for that. Yay, mini pancakes. Oh, yum. Good morning from Cary, North Carolina. Hey, Flo, how are you? Okay, so let's start off with the little recap that I have. First off, and I believe I saw Linda M on here, but Linda got your email, and she sent me an email regarding the autumn sky, indicating there was something wrong with one of the blocks. I took a look at it, did not see anything. And then she sent me an email yesterday, I believe it was yesterday, indicating it was still there. So I took another look at it, and Linda, you're right. I didn't see it. I tried and I tried and I tried, and I kept looking at it and I couldn't find anything wrong with it. But Linda spotted an error that I had on one of my blocks where I turned one of the pieces around. So good eye, Linda. Yes, I think it was just, I had so much going on between running back and forth with my mom and everything. Like, I kept looking at it and I just didn't see it. And then I took another look again yesterday because it was just bugging me. It's like, what could I have possibly done wrong? It looked fine to me. And then I realized that I had turned two of the squares the wrong way. And I'm going to show you that in just a minute. But thank you, Linda, because I did not see that. And I don't think anyone else really noticed that. And I'm going to show you that well, let's go ahead and just, well, let's do the crafting news first, and then we'll go over to that. But I wanted to give a big thanks to Linda for catching that. I did finish it, unfortunately, but I may try to see if I can fix it. We'll see. I'll show you guys what the error is, and then we'll talk about it. So let's head over to our crafting news first, and do that because I do have a couple of stories for you. So first off, in our crafting news, this one's just a quick reminder. The Great Wisconsin Quilt Show kicks off today at the Alliant Energy Center in Madison. It runs, it runs from September the 4th through September the 6th. And it's got some really gorgeous quilt displays on there. And it has the new Quilted Fashion Challenge that we talked about, and there's over 100 classes and lectures there, tons of shopping, and they even have the Quilt to Give project, which quilters kind of stitch for a cause. Oh, you're welcome, Nancy. Thank you, Linda. I appreciate that. You know, I needed another set of eyes. I wish you were with me. But yeah, I needed that. It was just way too much going on, and I was just all over the place, and I didn't catch that error at all. But thank you. But we'll look at that in just a minute. So, okay, so the second event that I want you to mark your calendars for is the Wilkes County Quilt Guild. They're hosting an annual quilt show this Friday, September the 5th from 9 to 6, and Saturday, September the 6th from 9 to 4 at the Stone Center. That's on 613 Cherry Street in North Carolina. The admission is just $5 per person, and all the proceeds go to buying fabrics and quilts donated to babies, children, and veterans. And this year's show, they're going to have quilting, a tradition for all ages. That's really packed with a lot of excitement, and you'll find a quilter's challenge and a viewer's choice competition. So don't miss the bed turning when the speaker shares stories behind the featured quilts. There's even some story time for the kids, so it's just a perfect way to introduce things to the next generation. They are also going to have shoppers are going to enjoy a shopper's boutique that's going to be filled with quilted crafts, household items, lots of sewing and quilting supplies from local vendors. And for every $10 that you spend at the boutique, you'll get a ticket for the grand prize drawing. That's pretty cool. They're going to have amazing prizes like a Janome sewing machine and a large boxes of fabric. Raffle tickets are also available, and the drawing will be held in December. So that's pretty cool. If you're in that area, go ahead and check that out. And then we're going to head over to South Carolina, and I think we have a few folks from South Carolina down here. If you are in Somerville, you'll want to check out the So Fabulous. This is a charming little quilt shop. And it isn't just about, just sewing. It's about family, service, and community. And that's at 522 Magnolia Street, North Magnolia Street. The owner's name is Angela Humphreys, and her talented team has been part of people's biggest life moments, from proms to bridesmaid dresses and weddings and all kinds of things. And they provide next day alteration services for police uniforms and military attire as well. And they show how much they care about the community by just servicing those people. So they do a year-long apprenticeship so that people can gain practical skills that they can use in their life. They do embroidery, they do sewing classes, and all kinds of things. So stop by, say hello to Angela, take some pictures, and put it on our Facebook group if you ever go by. Alrighty, so those are the things that I have for you for our crafting news, and I wanted to get those out to you. So now let's take a look at this project, because again, I wanted to thank Linda M. Oh boy. Sorry, Mr. H is having a little coughing thing, but he is feeling a little better though. Okay, so here is the Autumn Skies. This is a table runner. I still have to trim it and whatnot, but I will show you the entire thing. This is what it looks like with the borders. Okay, and the error, I'll have to find it. I think, see, now it kind of goes right at me now. If you notice, all of the stars are okay with the exception of this one right here. It doesn't look right. And if you notice, this half square triangle, let me fold it and I'll bring it over so you guys can see it better. Fold it this way. And let's bring this over to the desk cam here. And you guys see that? Okay. So I'll move it over just a tad more. So if you notice, this star is done correctly and this star is incorrect because you've got some half square triangles that are not going the right way. So if you notice this one here, you've got the orange here going, the triangles going this way. I flipped it and the triangles going the opposite way. So yeah, this one is incorrect. And then the second one was this one here, where this half square triangle, I've got the triangle going this way, and instead I have the triangle going this way. So this needs to be flipped around, and this one needs to be flipped around as well. So you've got two different squares. All the other ones are correct, but I guess as I brought it over to the machine and I was sewing it, I must have flipped it. And so I flipped those two, and so my star is a little awkward. But you know, I kept looking at it and looking at it and looking, and I couldn't find anything wrong, but yet it all looked correct to me. But this is where a design board really comes handy, right? Because you can put it on a design board and then you can kind of step back, and it allows you to really take a look at it on a larger scale, taking that step back. And I probably would have seen it then, but I've looked at it the first time, I couldn't find it. And then when I looked at it the second time, I was a little bit more relaxed because now my mom was home from the hospital and whatnot. And when I kind of laid it out on the table and I kind of stepped back a little bit, and then it just hit me, and it was like, boom, the star is incorrect. And so by this time I had already put the borders. Yes, I wish that I would have seen it sooner too. And I'm still debating it. I'm still looking at it, and I'm like, I could try to unpick it here, flip the square, and then just kind of try to go in there and sew that back up. Don't know how it's going to come out, so I'm still debating it. Don't know if I'm going to fix that, or do I just, leave it and just let it be unique, right? I don't know yet. I'm still debating it. There's so many other projects that I have here that I don't know if it's worth the time to do. But yeah, I think it's still pretty. I think, I love the colors. I love the stars. So yeah, it gives it some character. Sure. Sure it does. It does. I still love it. I still love it. Unfortunately, I didn't catch that in time, Linda. I couldn't see what you were telling me, and it just didn't hit me until it was already too late. So I don't know. I may, if I have some time, I may go back and try to fix it, but it would require a lot of undoing here. And I'm taking that risk if I'm going to be able to nail it back when I sew it. So I don't know if you guys have ever had a project like that where you have stitched something upside down, or you moved it to the wrong place and then have gone back to fix it. If you have any techniques on doing that and fixing it, let me know. I'd call it an I Spy quilt. Only gifted children will find it, Herman. You know, and I should have brought him over because he's really good at that. And he'll give you that honest opinion. Like he doesn't have any emotion tied to it. If something is wrong, he's going to call it out and tell you. Yeah, the Amish say that's a humidity block because we're not perfect. That's true. That is true, Phil. So I guess, yeah, call it a Mr. H block. I love that. I think we will call it the Mr. H block. We had a Mr. H block and it snuck into the quilt, right? I love that. Yeah, so I gotta make it a habit of having Herman check my work, right? Because he's caught me a couple of times. He has caught me a couple of times. He's very analytical and will catch things in just a moment. And yeah, I didn't show this one to him at all, and I didn't think of doing that. But yeah, he would have caught it. He definitely would have caught it. So I have to make a habit of having him check my work. Oh yeah, live and learn, don't worry about it. Yeah, we'll just call it the Mr. H block with some character, right? Why not? You didn't see it. And didn't see it until after you quilted it, so of course it stayed. Yeah, I just can't see myself undoing it unless I'm really up for a challenge one day to sit there and try to figure out how I'm going to do that. So yeah, this star, not so much, but that's the only star. I did check all the other stars. This is the only star that I did that to. I must have gotten distracted somehow when I was sewing it, and I don't know, wasn't paying attention. But that's what happened with this one. So it was kind of like, oh well, don't quilt it for a little bit, put it up where you will see it periodically, and it'll let you know you can live with it. Yeah, Marge, I guess that's a good way to do it, right? Agreed, leave it. Like printing a mistake on a dollar bill. Yeah, it may bug me for a little bit. It's gonna bug me because I can't believe I missed that. But we'll live and learn, right? We'll deal with it. And if I have time one day, I'll pick it out. But I'm probably gonna try not to, because I've got so many other projects. If I start doing that, I'll get way behind. So that is the update on the autumn skies. Again, thank you, Linda, for being my eye out there and catching that. But we know we'll call it a Mr. H block, and we will just move on. I love that. I really love that. That's for all the interruptions that I get, right? Okay, so the second project that we had going on was the Spooky and Sweet, and I did finish a couple of things. So let's see, let's grab the first one. The first block that we have is our little Willow, right? She's just adorable. We got her here. Whoops. We got her here looking fantastic, and really happy with that one. And then now she's got her little person here, and I'm still missing a piece on the bottom that I need to put in, but here is the little buddy here, the little Dracula. So he's looking great, and I think he's awesome, and it's gonna look really cute. This one was actually, I think, a lot easier to put together than the Little Witch was. The Little Witch had I guess a little bit extra to do, but I found them to be surprisingly easy to put together, and it went by pretty quickly. Of course, I had all the pieces all cut out and everything, so I was really happy with the way that came out. I have to just put in the strip on the bottom, that it's missing. So I do have to do that. And then when you look at the pattern, you also have some blocks that you have to put together. And let me just, of course, if you're new, you're not going to know what is she talking about. So let me show you guys that picture. So we've got the wall hanging, or you can do the door banner. Those are the two options, or you can just do your own thing, right? Looks like Eddie Munster. I love that. So yeah, so you have the option of doing the wall hanging or the door hanger, but at that point, you know, you have to kind of make your decision. After you've made all your blocks, you make your decision and then you lay it out how you want, or you can just do your own thing and do something totally different, right? So I've got the little willow ghost there. We're naming her Willow. And then we've got the little Dracula here on the side. And then you've got these 3 blocks. So you know, and it must have been, it was the same day I was doing the Autumn Sky runner where I made the mistake on the block. That was the same day I was doing my my other blocks for Spooky and Sweet. And so I did the 2 bottom ones. These were pretty cut and dry on these. So we've got the 2 bottoms here, but then the top one here gave me so much trouble. This one was really a challenge. Tons and tons and tons of points, and I wasn't paying attention to where the points were laying out as I was sewing it. So there was a lot of seam ripping going on, choice words going on on there. And then the fabric, from me picking it out so much, it just started to look warped and I didn't like it. So I started to recut. Since I'm done with the other pieces, I started to recut to make another one of these and kind of do it fresh. So I've cut those out. I've got a couple more pieces just to cut out for this, and then I'm going to redo that star, and that will be all done. But I've gotten the 2 mini stars completed. And I've got the Dracula done. So it's just that big star here on the end. And then I can just add the backing and the binding and be all done. But there is a generous amount of fabrics left over. Now, this big stack here is really for the backing, so I'm not counting this one. They give you 2 1/8 yards of backing fabric, which is really nice. But I still have all of these here that are left over, and this can be used for so many other projects. So there are some pretty cool Halloween colors and grays and charcoal and things like that. So I think it's a really generous amount. I liked that they gave you a little bit extra on the quilt kit. I'm not sure if they anticipated that block to be a little difficult. So maybe they anticipated that, and that's why they threw in some extra fabric, because it does, I mean, it's doing the little pieces to the block is not that bad. It's just when you are assembling the block together, there are tons and tons of little points on here. And so that you have to pay attention to when you're sewing. And again, I had so much going on, I was just not paying attention to that, and I really didn't like the way it came out. It came out okay, but I know it could have been better. So since I have the extra fabric, I am cutting it up and I am going to redo that block. So let's see how it goes on that one. So if you tuned in yesterday, we also kind of compared and contrast the paper piecing versus piecing on the Autumn Skies with stars. So we did some of that yesterday. That was fun. And the conclusion of that was, you know, paper piecing a lot easier than piecing, at least in my opinion. So hopefully if you guys were able to follow along, you're able to do these, and just look out for this block when you are starting to do this, either the wall hanging or the door banner. They're both going to have the same block on there. But when you're doing it, pay very close attention when you're piecing it together, because there's tons of points that need to line up here. And so if you're not really paying attention to that, it can be off, and then you'll have to undo like I did. So, okay. So that is the recap on all of our projects. That's where we are at right now. So let's go ahead and look at what we have for today, because we've got two things going on. So yesterday, we were talking about another free pattern that's out there. It's called Charming Christmas Quilt Pattern. And you can download this from the Fat Quarter Shop. And it's a pretty cut and dry pattern, I think. I think it's a nice way to kind of get some sewing done. It's using 2 charm packs. You want them to be kind of Christmas related colors, and then you have your tree in the middle and the background fabric right here. Now, we've talked a little bit about this yesterday. The background fabric, you can make it exactly the way it's showing, but you can change it up as well. You can do a snowy background here with some grays, maybe some snowfall fabric maybe that you have, or you can do some striking colors like a red or a green background. And then you'll want to do contrasting colors for your charm packs going all the way around and throughout the tree. So we talked about that and doing that. So I thought I had 2 charm packs, but I only have 1 of Christmas fabric. So because of that, I'm kind of holding off on this until I receive my other charm pack. And then I can go ahead and start this. But I can go ahead and start doing the cutting for the background fabric. And I'll kind of do that off camera. And then once I have all my cuts in place, we will bring this in, and then we're going to start working on this. A lot of it here, the techniques that they use is really half square triangles all around the project, and then some straight sewing to get those 5-inch charm packs, those 5-inch squares all lined up and around as a border. So not too bad of a project. So go ahead and grab either your scrap fabrics and cut up your 5-inch squares if you'd like. You can do it scrappy the way I have it here, or I'd like to see how you guys do it. If you want to do one solid border of colors, you know, you could do that too. I am getting 2 charm packs, so once I get that, then I'll be able to kind of do these. I may do it in mini charms. Oh, that's a cute idea. That's a really cute idea. Why not? You can do mini charms instead. That would be great. And, you know, you can kind of change this up. This is just an idea of what's out there, right? You can do this any way you'd like. Change up the fabrics, you know, different colors. Maybe you want to do, I don't know, glow in the dark thread. You know, there's so many different ones. When you buy charm packs, do you starch? I do not starch the charm packs. I do not. I don't want to starch the charm packs. If it were bolts of fabric, then I would, but the charm packs, I do not. I do not starch them. And then, let's see, you can do that kind of thing. Or if you don't want to sew pieces going all the way around, you can just do solid strips here. Maybe make them alternating colors. Kind of like the autumn sky where we had a border. The borders here were all different colors. You know, we had like the blue and the green and the red. And so alternating colors on here on your border is another way of doing it. That would make this project probably move a lot quicker because you're just going to use stripes, right? And maybe you can add a little embroidery to it. I do not also. Yeah, I don't either. I don't. But, you know, it's fun to do. There's so many different things that you can do. It's whatever you feel comfortable with. Oh, crafty pudding, ready to start my first in the hoop quilt project. And I went to Hobby Lobby in my area for the first time, and I was very disappointed. Oh no, there was very little inventory. Is this happening in your area? Oh no. Hobby Lobby has a really nice fabric area. They actually have a very generous, I'm not sure if it's because maybe in my area, like Hobby Lobby's pretty huge. It's a really big store, very, very popular down here. And I guess that's where all the crafters really go. Especially now, the fabric area is pretty large. So maybe you want to check out another Hobby Lobby, maybe try to go to a bigger one in a different area. But the area down here, they have a very generous fabric selections. They do solids. They have the licensed fabric as well, which is the one that Michaels has. I'm really disappointed with Michaels on that end, because that seems to be the only thing really that they carry besides a couple of solids. But Hobby Lobby has a very nice selection. They have some beautiful fabrics that they get in. So I'm pretty happy with those. But then again, there's always online, right? You can always get it online as well. But yeah, and maybe it's because that's really the only store for us down here, since especially now Joann's is gone. But yeah, now check another one, because they're, at least down here, they're pretty well stocked for fabrics. Okay, so again, you can do all kinds of different things and change this up to make this your own. So just use this as a guide, right? You've got things that they kind of teach us on our leadership courses. You know, it's handrails, not handcuffs, right? Use this as your guide, you know, to guide you, but don't let it handcuff you. Right? Don't think that this is how it has to come out. You know, if you want it to be like this, that's fine. But you can use your creativity to kind of do this any way you'd like. You can kind of really go off and do all kinds of different things with this. So just use that as a guide, and let's see what everyone comes up with. Okay. So that is one that we're going to be working on. Again, when I get my charm packs, I'll be cutting that, and then we'll be starting to sew that one together. And in the meantime, I want us to go over to our laptop, because I have another project. Actually, before I do that, let me show you the instructions for it. Tell me, I do have it here. Hold on. Well, I can show it to you online. Let's do the online one. Let's go over to our laptop, and we're going to look at a Designs by Juju. This is the Scarecrow utensil holder, and it's an in the hoop project. I think it's a lot of fun. I think that will get us ready for fall, right? Because we've got our fall here now. And it's pretty useful. I love this little utensil holder. It's perfect for if you're having any gatherings and you're doing your tables. And they've got other designs as well. She has a beautiful pumpkin. They have one for spring as well. But I think this is perfect, and it's really something useful that you can put on your table. So I really like this. I thought this was a really nice one to have. And so we've got this. We want to take a look at this. It's a quick in the hoop project, and it's, you know, it looks like this is pretty easy to do. Let's look at the finished sizes. So you can do a 5x7 hoop for those who have the smaller machines like myself. I have the Brother SE 1900, so I'll be doing the 5x7 size, and that's the size that it's going to finish at. Or if you are lucky enough to have a larger machine with those bigger hoops, you've got the 8x8, you've got the 150 by 240, I think that's 6x9, and then you have the 6x10 for the back. So it's only showing you the size of the back, because the front, which is just the little scarecrow piece right here, where this, you see the little indented where you actually, it forms like that little pocket. This piece right here can be done in a 5x7 hoop. So it's done in a 5x7 hoop. across all sizes. So no matter how big your hoop is, that front piece is no bigger than 5 by 7. That is the size that you make. The thing that makes it different for all the different sizes is the back right here. And I'll see if I can show you that. So it gives you, of course, the supply list, and you'll see here the front material, which is where that scarecrow is 5 by 7. And that's the only size that they give you, because that's the only size that it comes in for the front. Okay, and that's all you need. The piece that makes it different is on the back, right? And so here you have the different sizes here. And so that's where the difference comes in. And it really doesn't use too much fabric on here. You've got your background fabric, you've got your little applique pieces. And if you look at the sizes of guys, the size of your applique pieces are just really small. So you can dig into your scrap fabric and pull something out from here. It's just 3.5 by 3 inches. The hat for the scarecrow is 5 by 5 by 4, 5.5 by 4. And the sash, 3 inch by 2, and the leaves. You know, they're very, very small pieces of fabric. So this is a great project for some scrap busters in there. And you can make each utensil holder a little bit different if you're going to do multiples for the whole table. So that's pretty cool. Then you've got your back section. Now, one thing to note, there are some notes on the instructions that are telling you to use SF 101 stabilizer on the background fabric of the front panel. And that, again, it tells you right there to make the fabric more sturdy. We're going to take a look as to why you would need that, and I'll show you that in Embrilliance here. And it also tells you here that the front of the utensil holder, there's only one size. It's the 5 by 7. That front piece is what is used for all of the projects, no matter what size hoop you have. So that's why you just need that one piece. Okay, here's the different options, and here's where the difference comes in. So you see here's a 5 by 7 size. This is that front piece that you're going to be doing. And then for the 5 by 7 hoop size, this is what the back is going to look like. So it's not going to be very long, right? As you get into the bigger hoops, you'll notice that the back portion gets taller and taller. And so if you have the bigger hoop, you'll have the nice size here to be able to fit your utensils in there. So for the 5 by 7, when you stick your utensils in, it's going to stick out here a little bit as you lay them into the pocket. But if you have the bigger hoop size, it kind of makes the backing a little bit better. So if you don't want to use it for utensils, you can find other things to use it for. But this is what it will come out to look like. So there's the different options in terms of the height for the backing. But they are all using 5 by 7 size for that front portion of the scarecrow. So just note that. Now, this is a Designs by Juju that is available for purchase on her site. And I believe it was like $4 or something like that. It was pretty low cost, and she's got sales going on all the time. So you can definitely pick this up. So you go ahead and it goes through the instructions. You select your design. You're going to do the front first, and then it'll go through all of the steps. It is using 2 layers, right, of water-soluble stabilizer. So we want 2 layers. Why? Why do we need 2 layers? That's because she's telling you about the stitching. The depth of the stitching is very dense. So using 2 layers of the water-soluble stabilizer will hold those stitches on this particular project. And then it goes on the instructions about the placement line and giving you all the instructions of what you need to get this project done. And then you will have your finished front pocket with the little opening here that's going to be used as the pocket for the utensil. So it goes through the instructions and it tells you do not trim off the excess fabric. All you're trimming is this pocket right here. So that's a little bit tricky. I know people will automatically take it out and just start trimming. Just note that when you take out your project from the hoop, you are just trimming this top portion right here. You're just trimming the pocket itself, because then you are going to continue going through the instructions and you're going to put the back piece to it, which is that background piece, and that creates the pocket, and then it is going to go around and stitch all the way around, which is why it doesn't want you to trim it just yet. Wait until you are done with the project, and then you're going to trim that all the way around at the end. And so it kind of goes through, and I really like her instructions, how it includes the pictures, gives you a little bit of that visual. And so you can see here in this, what is this, step 17, it's doing a tack down stitch. And so you'll see that excess stabilizer is still there. Okay, so make sure that you do not cut that off just too early. And then afterwards, once it's done with the stitch, then you're going to go ahead and trim it. And so you see now it is trimmed off. And then on one of your last steps here is just going ahead and taking it off and cleaning it up, and your utensil holder is complete. So it's a pretty easy step-by-step instructions. I love the way she lays that out. But I wanted to kind of take a closer look and look to see, we can change up colors if we want, we can change the threads that we're using, and we can look at the density that she's talking about as to why we need to use the water-soluble stabilizer. So this is kind of more a lesson of the whys. Like, we know what we need to do because we have the instructions from the Designs by Juju, right? So she'll lay out the instructions, but I'd like for people to understand why. Why do we have to use 2 layers of stabilizer? Why is it that you need to do certain things? And it helps to make that connection for people, and it clicks in your head so that when you're doing certain projects and certain techniques, they kind of make sense for you. So we're going to use Embrilliance to kind of help answer some of those questions that, you know, some people don't realize. They usually will just take a indie hoop project or a pattern that they purchased, some kind of embroidery, plug it into their machine, follow the step-by-steps and get it done. But you're not really learning anything with that. You're just following the instructions and ending up with a product, which is fine for some people, right? That's all they want to do. But if you want to really learn things, you got to kind of take that extra step to kind of analyze it just a little bit more. Take a little step deep into it. And some projects are a lot easier than others. So let's dive right in. And I went ahead and I dragged and dropped my file in Embrilliance. And so the first thing I do is I go over to my objects panel, because it does come in like this. And so you don't see any of the steps. So you just hit the little plus sign and it'll show you all the steps that it's going to take to get to this design. And so let's just take a look at each one. So as we go down, you're going to see the first thing you do when you highlight that first step, you'll notice, and this is something that the Designs by Juju does a lot, is they color code the placement line and the tack down line are all kind of color coded the same. So it's a little bit of a pain because it wants to change colors, and so it requires a color change the way that they have it here, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to do that color change, right? And you can use different threads as well, right? So there's things that you can do that help to make things a little better. So here's the first step. So the first step is your placement line. So this is highlighting this box right here. It's just basically telling you where you are putting your fabric. That is the whole purpose of that placement line, just to identify this is where you're going to need to place your fabric. So placement line is where you're going to place your fabric, right? And then you're going to go over to the next one, which is going to be the tack down line. So now you're tacking down your fabric. So you've already placed your fabric on your hoop. It's now going to tack it down or seal it into place, right? And so it'll continue to that placement and that tack down line for each of the applique projects. So any applique that you do is always in Embrilliance, it will always have a placement and a tack down line. Now, if it's going to do a decorative stitch on top of that, that may be the next step. But in this particular project, it's kind of just laying everything down, and then it does the decorative stitch in the end. So you can see that as you go through the pattern. And it's really important to kind of look through the pattern before you actually start stitching it out, because that way you can really truly understand the steps that the machine is going to take to get this project done. And so you may want to make some changes to that. And if you do, this would be the time to kind of analyze that and make those changes. And so as we go through the steps here, you're going to see here, you've got your next step, and it's focused all around the face. And so this is yet another placement line for you to identify where the face is going to be. And then you'll have to select your fabric that you're going to use for that. And then the next step after that will be to tack it down. So there's going to be the face. Then the next one, it's going to be the hat. So you'll get your fabric ready for that. And again, another tack down line for the hat. And then you're just going to continue going down the line. Here you have the little brim here. So it's going to want to put a piece of fabric for that. And you can see the fabric pieces are just really small. So definitely use your scraps on that. Then we've got the little flower here, kind of the same thing. You are just doing the little leaves here. It's going to tack that down. And then you get into the embroidery part. And on this part, this is not applique. This is just a straight out decorative stitch that is going to put here. So you see the little designs, and you'll have to decide on your colors for that. It's suggesting this reddish brown color. And then you've got the little hat, and here's where now it's going to start to do the decorative stitching. And you can notice in Embrilliance how it kind of identifies a decorative stitch, right? If you look at a tack down line, you're just going to see a very thin line going across. It's a solid line, and then you see kind of the stitching here that's going to happen later. That solid line that you're seeing here represents that tack down line. But when you look at a line like this, where it's a lot thicker, that's represented some kind of a stitch, right? So in this case, it looks like it is the satin stitch. And so we can just kind of look at that here. And you can see, of course, you've got all the different colors. It'll tell you here, this is set up as an applique style, but this is a satin stitch that it is using. And you can see the thickness here, okay? And then you'll see that in the other steps. So now you've already done all of your placement lines. You've already done your tack down lines. All of your applique has been tacked down. So now this particular design is going to start going back and doing a satin stitch to tack some of this and give it that little decorative look. And so you can see the brim of the hat. You can see the head and all the other pieces to this here. Notice all the thickness of the lines, right? Now you start getting into, you know, filling in things in. So here we've got this big circle here for representing the sunflower, and it's just filled it up here. So this is a fill stitch. It's filling that up here. Then you've got the little nose. This is another fill stitch. It's a shape that is just being filled with a bunch of stitches in here. And then we've got the little cheeks. That's another fill stitch. We've got the smile here. We've got the little eyes, another fill stitch. And then you just have the outline and a little decorative piece right there. So now Why is it that we need to use two different stabilizers? Let's look at the density of the design. So if you go up in Embrilliance and you click on the little density map, you can see right here, when you're looking at the density, it's outlining where the heavy stitches are. Okay, so you have all of this blue here, right? That's representing the satin stitch that we were just talking about. All of the blue areas are satin stitches, and so those are pretty heavy. They're very dense. And so what's going to happen is it's going to start eating into your fabric just slightly. The more dense that your project is, the heavier your project's going to be and eating away at your fabric. So by using that two different layers of stabilizer, it helps to stabilize it, and it prevents your fabric from sinking and shrinking in. So you want to make sure that you use that when you have a dense project. So a density map can be very helpful in Embrilliance, just so that you can see where the stitching is going to be more dense. So maybe you have a larger size project. Some areas of the project will be very dense just on one side. Maybe there's something that you want to do just in that one side of the hoop. You know, maybe you don't have to do two entire layers of the stabilizer, but you definitely want to hold on to, you know, just the side that has that density and give it the support it needs. Chris says that the reason there are different color threads is to make the machine stop for placement of fabrics. Yes, trimming, etc. It's definitely is not necessary to actually change the thread color unless you choose. Exactly. And there's also there's a thread that you can use. Let me see if I have it out. Yes, it's just a water soluble thread that you can use. And sometimes when you are doing these types of projects, where this particular one doesn't have it, but sometimes you have projects that will require you to go ahead and embroider them, and then you have to sew them together. And so they'll have a placement line that'll help you to align things together and then, you know, line it up and sew it. Well, sometimes if you don't sew it right on, that little piece of thread is going to stick out, and because it's a different color, it kind of shows on the project. But you can use water soluble thread on that and then stitch it all together, and then after you've done that, you can go ahead on your placement lines. You would use this thread, right? After you've stitched it together, if you're seeing that it's sticking out because it's water soluble thread and it's just a placement line, you can just dab it with a little Q-tip and just, excuse me, and just remove that placement line from your project. Because the placement line is really just a guide as to where you need to put your fabrics. I'm sorry, 1 second, guys. I have this tickle in my throat. Okay, much better. And so the placement guide stitch that the projects are doing, that's really their whole purpose, is to figure out where you have to place your fabric. It's not a type of thread that you want showing on your project. So you definitely can use something like this to do that. And then when you piece it together, you would just dab it with water and it would get rid of it. So, so that's, you know, use your density map to really show what your threads are doing and where the density is, because that will really help you figure out why you have to do these types of extra stabilizers when you are doing your project, because that really helps. Okay, so I know we're running really low on time. We just have a minute here. Let's run over to our inspirational quote of the day so we can get that in. Okay, so today's quote of the day is, "Sewing provides rest, playfulness, and joy in times when life feels too demanding." Yeah, I certainly had a lot of that, I can tell you, over these past week or so. So yeah, little overwhelming for me, but you know, mistakes happen, then we just kind of move on. So guys, those are the little tips that I have for you. We'll kind of pick it up tomorrow. I'll show you a couple more things that I wanted to kind of tackle on this, and then we're going to be stitching out this project until I get my charm packs, and then we'll be switching over to the Christmas one. So I hope you do this project with me. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Thank you guys all for tuning in this morning. I really appreciate all of your support. You guys are an awesome community. Hope you have a fantastic day. And don't forget to support other YouTubers out there. Remember, it's Happy Sewing Month. It is National Sewing Month this month. So go ahead and do your projects. Again, thanks for having a wonderful time with me today. And I really hope you have a fantastic day. Hope to be crafting with you soon. Bye, everyone.
So long for now, so long. Glad you stayed a while. Hope you liked my crafting style. Hope I left you with a smile. By now, keep your mind and space clutter-free. Hope your day is bright as can be. So long, my friends, till we craft once again. Bye now, stay crafting. See you tomorrow. So long, my friends, till we craft once again.